News.
Good evening, and it's time for the Prime News at 5. To the headlines. Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia outlines presidential vision promising to reduce fiscal burden of government by leveraging the private sector. Independent presidential candidate Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen criticizes the two major political parties, saying they lack substantial solutions to alleviate Ghanaians from economic challenges. And at least 13 Sudanese migrants have died and 27 others missing after their boat sank off Tunisia's coast. My name is Nana Ama Nyameke Baini. Now the news in detail. New Patriotic Party flag bearer Mahmoud Bawumia has said his government, should he win the 2024 election, will reduce the fiscal burden on government by leveraging the private sector. Outlining his vision for the country on Wednesday, 7 February 2024, Dr. Bawumia said under the two-term administration of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo government, they have put in place many social safety nets like free SHS, free TVET, and etc. He indicated that with all these social safety nets in place, his government will now focus on jobs and wealth creation by the private sector for all Ghanaians. Additionally, he disclosed that his administration will incentivize the private sector to complement government in the provision of money, infrastructure, and other services to reduce government expenditure and improve maintenance. The private sector, Dr. Bawumia noted, will be encouraged to build roads, schools, hostels, and houses for government to rent or lease to own. The Vice President further revealed that he will create an enabling environment for the private sector to finance the construction and maintenance of roads through PPP concession arrangement that's taking off the huge burden on the budget. Also, he said the government will move towards leasing rather than purchasing vehicles, printing equipment, etc. Here is Dr. Bawumia speaking at the program.
My administration, will incentivize the private sector to complement government in the provision of many infrastructure and other services to reduce government expenditure and improve maintenance. The private sector will be encouraged to build roads, schools, hostels, and houses for government to rent or lease to own. The demand for roads construction is massive, and this has historically placed a huge burden on the budget. I believe that the private sector should finance the construction and maintenance of roads through PPP concession on the budget. I believe that the private sector should finance the construction and maintenance of roads.
Criticizing the previous administration for the current woes of the economy, Dr. Bawumia said an alternative budget by the party in the coming days will expose the incompetence of the opposition NDC, insisting that the amount of money borrowed by the then government did not correspond with the level of development in the country. Here is Dr. Bawumia again speaking to the media after his presentation.
This government, the reckless borrowing of this government has compromised the whole oil discovery. You need 6 times of our oil revenue just to pay interest, not even capital. It's interest on the debt. So it is a really sad development. I mean, what fundamental issues that affect this economy have been addressed in this budget? You should ask yourself, what fundamental issues? If we had spent, the monies borrowed, and that money borrowed is the equivalent of some $37 billion over 7 years. Now, can you imagine what $37 billion can do in an economy? $37 billion. I mean, it's amazing transformation that you can see.
Investment the government is talking about. We are going to add about 800 megawatts of power.
But we are talking about a record. You can always talk. We are going to do this. We are going. The question is, what have you done? You've had 7 years in government. What have you done? I mean, your record should speak for itself. You shouldn't be waiting for the 8th year. The IMF, they can point to even a lot. Oh yes.
They will point to the rich hospital. They will point to.
But when the Kufuor administration was there, with such meager resources, so much can be pointed to as well. Infrastructure, as John Mahama says, if you point to infrastructure, you are engaging in an exercise of mediocrity.
Moving on, the minority in parliament has launched a scathing criticism against the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Bawumia, following his recent policy address ahead of the 2024 general elections. In a public address on Wednesday, February 7, 2024, Dr. Bawumia outlined plans to abolish certain taxes, including the e-levy and bet taxes. He also proposed governing with 50 ministers and introducing a flat tax regime, among other interventions. However, the minority caucus has expressed skepticism, asserting that the vice president lacks a coherent vision for the country. During a caucus meeting, the minority leader Dr. Cassel Atuforsen vehemently opposed Dr. Bawumia's speech, claiming that the vice president already possesses the authority to remove taxes but has failed to do so. Dr. Forsen argued that the proposed tax cuts were already articulated by the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, making Dr. Bawumia's stance appear a mere replication. Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for West Central, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, has expressed astonishment at the timing and content of Dr. Bawumia's promises. Away from that, the Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahi Eidu, has revealed that over 500,000 hectares of cocoa farms in Ghana have been lost to the cocoa swollen shoot viral disease, posing a major threat to the country's cocoa production. While recognizing the gravity of the challenge, Mr. Eidu also offered some assurance, indicating that measures have been put in place and continue to be implemented to address the issue. Mr. Eidu made this disclosure during a panel discussion at a partnership meeting of the World Cocoa Foundation in Amsterdam, where he shed light on the multifaceted challenges confronting cocoa production in Ghana. In addition to cocoa swollen shoot viral disease, Mr. Eidu highlighted the detrimental impact of illegal mining and climate change, which further exacerbate the decline in cocoa productivity and pose a great threat to the livelihoods of cocoa farmers. The Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board also stressed the importance of securing sustainable incomes for cocoa farmers, underscoring the living income differential and the recent significant hikes in Ghana's producer price for cocoa farmers as crucial advancement in this regard. Nevertheless, he underscored the need for a collective commitment across the industry to prioritize the sustainable incomes of cocoa farmers, backed by concrete action to ensure its realization. Away from that, despite the Ministry of Finance directive to suspend the contentious 15% value-added tax on electricity, the Greater Accra Regional Branch of Organized Labour of the Trades Union Congress remains unwavering in its decision to proceed with its planned protest. On February 7, 2024, the Ministry of Finance issued instructions to the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company to halt the implementation of the new tax policy until discussions with stakeholders, including organized labor, have taken place. However, the labor unions have expressed their dissatisfaction with the directive, insisting on a complete repeal of the tax. Patrick Benyimi, a representative from the Regional Metro Council of Labour, outlined their plans for a nationwide demonstration on February 13 at a press conference in Accra. The protest is slated to encompass various activities, with one notable action being suspension of commercial vehicle operations on the day of demonstration. Independent presidential candidate Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen has criticized the two major political parties, the ruling New Patriotic Party and the opposition National Democratic Congress, in the lead up to the 2024 polls. Kyerematen contends that both the NDC and NPP lack substantial solutions to alleviate Ghanaians from the economic challenges they face. He specifically criticized the two parties for resorting to International Monetary Fund (IMF) bailout during their respective administrations. As the founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Kyerematen positions himself as the most suitable candidate to lead the desired transformation that Ghanaians are yearning for. He urges voters to consider him as their choice in the upcoming 2024 elections. The longest-serving trade minister stated that he has been an effective minister in both former President John Agyekum Kufuor and President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administrations, touting his achievement on the One District, One Factory initiative. The leader of the Movement for Change believes he will amass more votes in the Volta and Central regions than his two contenders, MPP flag bearer Dr. Bawumia and NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama. Away from that, in a tragic incident on Thursday morning, a nurse in his 40s from the Bimbilla Hospital lost his life after he was hit by a Kia Reno. The deceased was reportedly returning from his night shift when the unfortunate incident occurred. Eyewitnesses reported that a Benz bus traveling in the wrong direction forced the Kia Reno to swerve, leading to the fatal accident. The Nanumba North Municipal Chief Executive Abdullah Yacob confirmed the incident. The police have transported the nurse's body to the hospital morgue, while the drivers involved has been apprehended and are currently in police custody. In a conflicting statement, the driver of the Benz bus refuted the incident, claiming he had already passed the scene before the collision. On the international front, at least 13 Sudanese migrants have died and 27 others are missing after their boat sank off Tunisia's coast, a Tunisian official has said. Only 2 people on board survived while search operations were underway for those missing, he added. It is the latest disaster to hit migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean from Africa to Europe. Sudan plunged into a civil war about 10 months ago, forcing at least 9 million people to flee their homes. Most of them have taken refuge either in safer parts of the country or in neighboring states. Some foreign governments, including the UK's, evacuated their nationals trapped in Sudan after fighting broke out between the army and a rival paramilitary force last April. And that ends the Prime News at 5. Let's take a recap of the headlines. Vice President Dr. Bawumia outlines presidential vision promising to reduce fiscal burden of government by leveraging the private sector. Independent presidential candidate Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen criticizes the two major political parties, saying they lack substantial solutions to alleviate Ghanaians from economic challenges. And at least 13 Sudanese migrants have died and 27 others missing after their boat sank off Tunisia's coast. My name is Nana Ama Nyameke Baini. Thank you for doing the listening and do have a good evening.